Welcome back to the Deep End. I'm glad you could join us. Today, we're stepping into a space where the walls of reality get a little bit porous.
Just a little bit.
We're talking about a specific moment in time where the metaphysical just crashes right into the mundane.
It really does. You get these, these huge cosmic lectures right next to someone getting nagged about their bad habits.
Exactly. An entity giving physics lessons and marriage advice in the same hour.
It's a really fascinating mix, and I think chilling is the right word for some of the concepts we're going to hit today.
Oh, for sure.
But hilarious also fits. It's just a strange combination of the cosmic and the completely domestic.
It is. So we want to keep things relaxed here, maybe a little spooky, but definitely, have some fun with it.
Right.
But before we dive all the way in, I do have to get the official bit out of the way.
The fine print.
The fine print. We have to state this clearly. This podcast will be distributed free of charge on all major platforms for educational purposes. We're here to learn, to explore, and to question.
And specifically, we are exploring Session 147 of the Early Sessions, Book 3 of the Seth Material.
Right. And just to ground everyone in time and space, because as we're about to find out, time and space are pretty slippery concepts.
Yeah, they are.
This session took place on April 19th, 1965. We are looking at the literal notes and transcription from that evening.
And we absolutely must credit the source here. This is the Seth Material published by the New Awareness Network. It's incredibly dense, rich stuff, and we are really we're just scratching the surface of one single night in Elmira, New York.
So what's our mission for this deep dive? Why this particular session out of, hundreds of them?
Well, usually when people talk about channeling or this kind of philosophy, it feels very abstract.
Very cloudy.
Yeah, it's all clouds and light and vague promises. But what I love about Session 147 is how specific and grounded it is.
Okay.
We're actually seeing the mechanism of how thoughts become things. We're getting a cosmic perspective on something as gritty and relatable as chain smoking. And we're getting a definition of action with a capital A that just completely dismantles how we think about cause and effect.
It's the I told you so moment that really gets me.
It is so rare to hear a cosmic consciousness gloat, but we basically get that here.
We really do. So I guess the hook for today is this. Imagine you have a mentor who can see the future, who understands the deepest laws of physics, but also really, really wants you to quit smoking. That's Seth in this session.
That is the perfect summary.
So let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So we have to start with the context, right? It's April 1965. Jane Roberts, who is the channel for Seth, and her husband Ruburt Butts are living their lives in Elmira.
And Jane is a writer. A working writer.
Yeah. She's been grinding away, trying to get her work published, dealing with all the rejection slips, the waiting games, all the stuff writers go through.
Right. The struggle. And on this specific day, she gets a letter.
And this isn't just any letter, is it?
No, this is the one. It's from FL Inc., a publisher. And they wrote to say they want to schedule her book, Hidden Powers Within You, for publication in the spring of '66.
Which is huge news for any writer. I mean, that's the dream, the moment you pop the champagne.
It is massive. But here's the kicker, and this is where it gets really interesting for our purposes.
Okay.
Seth, the entity Jane channels, had already predicted this.
He called it.
He totally called it. Specifically, back in Session 92 and then again in Session 143, he basically laid it all out. He said this was going to happen. He was confident when they were full of doubt.
And Jane and Rob, they were skeptical, right? I mean, even though they're in the middle of this incredible metaphysical experience, they didn't fully buy it.
I think they were really nervous.
Yeah.
You know how it is when you're waiting for a big break?
Yeah.
You don't want to get your hopes up.
It's a defense mechanism.
Exactly. They were trying to protect themselves from disappointment. They didn't fully trust the prediction because, it just seemed too good to be true.
So the session starts that night. Jane goes into her trance. Seth comes through. And he doesn't just say congratulations.
No.
He doesn't say, good job, kid.
No, he goes for the jugular, but in this really funny way. He says, and I'm quoting here, I might say somewhat sarcastically, "Oh, ye of little faith."
I love that.
Yeah.
Somewhat sarcastically.
Yeah.
It's such a human-specific descriptor.
It reveals so much about the personality of Seth, He's not some kind of abstract, robotic voice.
No.
He's teasing them. He's pointing out that he has a vantage point they just don't have. He says, that which is obvious to me is not obvious often to you.
It's like when you're watching a movie and you already know the ending and your friend next to you is freaking out.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there eating popcorn like, just wait, trust me, the hero gets out of the burning building.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
But then Seth takes this moment of, I told you so, and immediately pivots it into a lesson about metaphysics.
Of course he does.
He doesn't just say, I saw the future. He explains why the book sold. And this leads us to this incredible concept of the vitality of a manuscript.
This part just blew my mind because I think of a manuscript or, a podcast script or an email as just words on a page.
Right. Inert.
It's inert. It just sits there until someone reads it. It's dead matter, ink and paper, or pixels on a screen.
Seth fundamentally disagrees with that. He argues that a creative work, specifically Jane's manuscript in this case, possessed its own vitality.
Vitality.
He calls it a focus of energy.
So the book isn't just a stack of paper. It's like, what, a battery? Or a living thing?
I'd lean more towards a living thing that you've birthed. Seth says, and this is another quote, in Rupert's manuscript there existed a vitality that of itself would bring about other actions.
Wow.
He's suggesting that when you pour focused psychic energy into a creation, whether it's art, writing, building a business, whatever it is, you are charging it.
You're imbuing it with something.
Exactly. And that charge, it propels it forward into the world. It has its own momentum.
That is a wild thought. Because it implies that the work itself does some of the heavy lifting.
It does.
It's not just about the quality of the prose or, market trends. It's about the energy that's literally contained within the object itself.
It is. Seth even says that art sets up its own climate of psychological acceptance or rejection.
The climate.
Yeah. So before the editor as FL even picked up the manuscript, the energy charge of the thing was already doing work. It was already affecting the psychological environment around it. It was paving the way for its own acceptance.
It makes you think about the things we create in our own lives, right? Like, if you write something just half-heartedly, just to get it done, does it have a weak charge?
That's the implication.
And if you create something with intense passion and focus, does it literally have a kind of magnetic pull?
That is exactly what he's suggesting.
Yeah.
Seth says Jane's manuscript had a charge that was vivid and well-focused. It wasn't just the words, it was the intensity behind them. It suggests that your marketing starts way before you actually try to sell something.
Right.
It starts with the energy you bake into the product during the creation phase.
That is a very empowering but also kind of intimidating thought.
It is.
Your bad vibes might be haunting your spreadsheets.
It's entirely possible. If you create with resentment, that energy is there. If you create with excitement and love, that vitality is there. It's like an invisible signature you leave on everything you touch.
Okay, so we've got this victory lap about the book. It's a great start to the session.
A really positive moment.
But then Seth decides to shift gears. And when I say shift gears, I mean he goes from congrats on the book deal to, rewriting the fundamental laws of physics.
This is the section of the notes that gets really heavy really fast.
It does.
He starts talking with the nature of action. And we really do need to capitalize that word in our minds.
Yeah.
Action. It's not just doing stuff.
It's something bigger.
It's the fundamental movement of the universe.
And he drops this line, which is it's the core of it all. He says, action does not always move in what you would consider a straight line.
Right. And to understand why this is so radical, we have to look at how we normally see the world.
Okay.
We live in a linear mindset. A leads to B leads to C. Cause leads to effect. Past leads to present, leads to future.
A billiard ball hits another ball, and that second ball moves. It's a straight line.
It's the arrow of time.
I knocked over the glass, so the water spilled. Linear. Monday comes before Tuesday.
Exactly. Seth is saying that's an illusion. He says we view action in narrow terms, usually just physical terms, but action is actually multidimensional.
Multidimensional.
It moves in all directions, forward, backward, sideways, in and out.
Okay, my brain is already hurting a little bit. How are we supposed to visualize this? If action isn't a straight line, what is it? A spiral? A sphere? What?
Let's use the analogy that Seth himself hints at, which I think really helps clarify this. It's one of my favorite analogies in the entire Seth material.
Okay, I'm ready.
Imagine a submarine, or even better, a whale.
Okay, picturing a whale in the ocean. Big, majestic, splashing around.
Right. You are standing on a boat, you see this whale breach the surface, blow some water, swim for a little bit, and then dive back down under the water.
Got it. I see the fin, I see the tail then, splash, it's gone.
To you, on the boat, the action of the whale began when it broke the surface.
Right.
And it ended when it went back under. You say, look, The whale is doing something, and when it's gone, you say the action is over.
Because I can't see it anymore. It's gone from my reality.
But the whale didn't stop existing, did it?
No.
The whale didn't stop moving, it just left your field of vision. Seth argues that what we call action in our physical universe is just that moment the whale breaches the surface.
And the surface is our physical reality.
Precisely.
Whoa. Okay, so the ocean is... what? Other dimensions? The subconscious.
The ocean is the greater reality. He says, and I'm quoting again, action which is materialized within your plane appears within your field and disappears from your field. This in no way affects the basic nature of action itself.
So the action is continuous.
It's always happening.
Yeah.
We just see the tip of the iceberg or, the back of the whale.
So everything we see, a car driving by, a conversation we have, a whole human life even, is just the momentary surfacing of a much deeper, continuous movement?
Precisely. And this is where that concept of the spacious present comes into play. Seth mentions there's no real before or after.
Right.
Those are just terms for our convenience.
For our convenience. I love that. Like, time is just a filing system we invented because we can't handle the whole chaotic mess at once.
It basically is.
Yeah.
Seth says action occurs spontaneously into all directions. So if we go back to the whale, imagine the ocean is the entire universe of possibilities. The whale is moving everywhere at once.
And we just happen to be looking at the one specific patch of water where it decides to pop up. That is chilling. That is the chilling part of the vibe we promised at the beginning, because it means that nothing really ends.
That's the logical conclusion, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Seth says action may appear to have a beginning and an ending, but this is, again, an error of perception.
An error of perception. So when we finish a project or end a relationship, or even when someone dies, from this perspective, the action hasn't actually stopped.
It just don't.
It just went back under the water.
It just moved into a system we can't perceive with our physical senses. It implies a kind of immortality to all things, not just souls, but events, actions themselves.
So an argument you had 5 years ago.
The energy of that action is still moving somewhere.
The love you felt for a pet that passed away.
That action is still swimming in the ocean of reality.
That is both incredibly comforting and kind of terrifying. I'm not sure I want all my past arguments to be eternal.
Well, it motivates you to create better actions in the present, doesn't it?
Yeah, yes it does.
Knowing they don't just vanish into the ether, it suggests we're really truly responsible for the energy we put out because it never really goes away.
It definitely raises the stakes on everything we do.
It really does. It transforms the mundane into the magical, or at least the significant.
Okay, so we have gone from book deals to multidimensional whale physics.
A pretty big leap.
But Seth isn't done. He decides it's time to get personal again. And this is the part that made me laugh out loud when I was reading the transcript.
The smoking intervention.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here is this cosmic entity explaining the very nature of reality, and then he basically turns to Jane, or Ruburt, as he calls her, and says, hey, we need to talk. You need to quit smoking.
It's so grounding. It reminds you that all this spiritual development, it's happening inside a physical body. You can't just be a disembodied mind floating around. And Seth is clearly not happy about Jane's habit.
But he's not just sounding like a doctor, right? He's not just showing her a picture of black lungs and saying, this is bad for your health.
No, and that's the fascinating part. He never just gives simple advice. He analyzes the function of the habit.
Okay.
He says smoking acts as a blanket of insulation.
Insulation. That's a very specific word. He doesn't say addiction. He doesn't say poison. He says insulation.
Exactly. And he says it insulates her not only from exterior reality.
Right, the world around her.
But also from interior reality.
Her own thoughts and feelings. So the cigarette is a buffer. It's a shield.
Exactly. And we all have them. I mean, for you listening, maybe it's not smoking. Maybe it's doom scrolling on social media for hours.
Or binge eating. Or overworking.
Right. Seth calls these things artificial supports.
We use them to dampen the signal. Life is too loud, or our own thoughts are too loud. So we put up this layer of insulation. I can't deal with this right now, so I'm going to smoke. Or I'm just going to check Instagram for a minute, which becomes an hour.
Yes. Seth argues that Jane was using smoking to dampen the intensity of her psychic work and just her daily life. I mean, being a medium, being a writer, that's intense. She used the smoke to create a fog, literally and metaphorically, to soften the edges of her experience. But here's the compliment that's wrapped inside the criticism.
Okay.
He says she's now stable enough to handle reality without it.
You're strong enough now to take the training wheels off.
Exactly, he says, and this is a great quote. Ruburt is more stable a personality than he knows, and thus he can now handle himself without dependence upon artificial supports.
I think that's a message a lot of us probably need to hear about our own crutches.
I agree.
Whatever it is we're using.
Cool.
Maybe we don't actually need it anymore. We're just using it out of habit. We're scared of the raw signal, but we're actually ready for it.
And speaking of habit, Seth goes really deep into the mechanism of addiction here. He says something so profound. He says, the need for the habits creates the exterior habit.
Wait, unpack that for me. The need creates the habit. That sounds kind of circular.
He's saying the physical act, the lighting of the cigarette, the chewing of the nails, whatever, it's secondary. It's a symptom.
Okay.
The primary thing is the internal inner pattern, that psychological need for security or insulation. If you don't break that inner pattern, you can't truly quit.
So you can throw away the pack of cigarettes.
But the need remains.
And you'll just swap it for something else.
Exactly. He explicitly says some personalities need a habit security and will switch from one habit to another.
And this leads us to what is, in my opinion, the funniest part of the entire session's notes.
Rob's footnote.
Yes. Robert Butts, Jane's husband, he adds this little note here about his own experience.
I love Rob's notes. They always ground everything in such a real human way. He mentions that he quit smoking back in 1959.
Good for Rob.
But he then admits that immediately after quitting, he switched to chewing on toothpicks.
For a year.
For a whole year. He just walked around chewing on wood.
That is the most perfect illustration of what Seth is talking about.
It is.
The inner pattern in his brain said, I need an oral fixation. I need a rhythm. I need a little distraction. The cigarettes went away, so the brain just grabbed the nearest possible thing, a toothpick.
It's habit security. The mind is terrified of a vacuum. It needs to fill that space. And Seth is telling Jane that she is ready to not just quit smoking, but to dissolve the need for the insulation in the first place.
To just be present with reality. Raw.
Yeah.
Which is probably, I don't know, scarier than the physics stuff we just talked about.
I think it is.
Facing reality without a buffer, that's brave. That requires some real courage.
It really is.
Yeah.
But Seth promises her that her health and her work will benefit. He even predicts that by the summer, she will have broken the habit.
We'll have to check some future sessions to see if she actually pulled it off.
Spoiler alert, it's a struggle. It's not a straight line, just like action.
Oh, of course.
But the insight here is what really matters. It's about looking at why we do what we do, not just what we do.
Okay, so we've covered the book deal, the physics of action, the smoking intervention. There's one more specific element in this session.
Right. The return to the lab.
Yeah, psychological time, or side time.
Mm-hmm.
Jane had been, she'd been banned from doing this for a little while, right?
Yes. Psychological time is this specific meditative state they use to explore consciousness. Mm-hmm. And it can be really intense. It's not just relaxing, it's active conscious work in other dimensions.
Yeah.
Jane had been asking to resume these experiments, and in this session, Seth finally gives her the green light.
But with rules.
Oh yeah, with strict rules.
It sounded like a parent giving their kid the keys to the car for the first time. You can drive, but only to the store and back, and you have to take your brother.
That's totally what it was like. The rules were 15-minute periods only.
Yeah.
It must be done in the evening, and Joseph, this is what Seth calls Rob, must be in the house at a time.
Why the babysitter? Why the time limit? Is
Yeah.
it actually dangerous?
Well, Seth notes that Jane was, quote, exhausted by the emotional contrasts of the day.
The highs of the book deal and then the lows of just life, I guess.
Probably just the intensity of it all.
Yeah.
Seth points out that this kind of psychic work, or even just deep creative work, takes a real physical toll. He says, Rupert's momentary exhaustion this evening is a simple, natural result here of ordinary counterthrusts of emotional action and reaction.
Counterthrusts of emotional action. I love that phrasing. It validates that just having feelings is tiring.
It is. Emotions burn energy. And if you're physically drained, opening yourself up to these deep trance states or psi time can be overwhelming.
So Seth is being the protective mentor here.
Exactly. He's saying, go ahead, explore the cosmos, but keep it to 15 minutes because you need to get some sleep. You need to recharge the batteries.
It just reinforces that idea of balance, doesn't it? You can't just be a spirit. You have to take care of the meat suit you're driving around.
You have to honor the vehicle.
Yeah.
You can't drive a car with no gas, no matter how good the driver is.
So we've wandered through this incredible kind of weird session. We've seen the future predicted, we've seen the submarine of action, and we've seen Rob chewing on toothpicks. What does this all mean? Let's try to synthesize this for a minute.
I think you can break it down into 3 distinct layers.
Okay.
First, you have the practical layer.
The book's deal.
Right, the validation of the book deal. It shows that there is a logic to events, that things can be foreseen, and that our focused efforts, our vitality, have real-world consequences. We create a charge that goes out before us.
Then there's the second layer, which is the personal.
Yeah, the smoking advice, the whole idea of insulation. It asks all of us to look at our own habits, not just as bad things we do, but as defense mechanisms we might actually be ready to outgrow. It challenges us to drop the buffer and experience life directly as it is.
And finally, the third layer, the universal.
That's the nature of action. The idea that nothing moves in a straight line and that everything is happening in this spacious present.
It completely changes how we view our lives.
It does. Not as a linear story from birth to death, but as a complex, multidimensional event that, in some fundamental way, never truly ends.
It's a lot to take in. And honestly, we are just summarizing a summary. I mean, the depth of the actual material is just staggering.
It really is. And if this conversation has sparked anything in you, if you felt that little aha moment on any of these topics, we strongly encourage you to study the Seth Material books directly.
Yeah, please don't just take our word for it. Go to the source. You can find the books and a lot more information at the New Awareness Network website.
That's sethcenter.com/the early sessions.
sethcenter.com/the early sessions.
Reading the raw sessions is a completely different experience. You get the nuance, the tone, the sheer volume of insight that we can't possibly cover in an hour. It's like the difference between hearing someone talk about the whale
and actually seeing it breach right in front of you.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Now, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We talked about Seth's concept of action, how it enters our reality like a whale surfacing, and then it leaves, it dives back down.
But it never stops moving.
Right. So the next time you finish a project, or you quit a habit, or you even just walk out of a room, ask yourself, where'd that action go? It disappeared from your view, sure, but in what other reality is it just getting started?
And who is watching it surface there?
Exactly. Just something to keep you awake tonight. Thank you for diving deep with us.
It was a pleasure.
We'll see you in the next deep dive.